Stephen Meade again, back with another Bullseye Guy podcast. Super excited and a little nervous to talk to the great mentalist, Lior. And I say that in great jest. I was fortunate I met Lior years ago through Ken Rakowski and Metal, and I watched him in a group of people just do the most amazing, I won't even call them tricks because that's not fair. This is an amazing talent and super fortunate to have you. So Lior, tell everybody hello, introduce yourself, and we'll get started.
Hello, everyone that's watching us. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Stefan. And the term is a master mentalist. A master mentalist is basically a person who knows how people are thinking and knows how to play with people's thoughts. You saw me in a small group. I do live shows all over the world. And now I'm doing it pretty much virtually, but it's still doing it.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions we'll eventually get to, is because I know there's a big corporate side of what you do that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. There's a TV show that I love that you know we'll talk about, but let's go back a little bit. For the master mentalist, when did you know, first, do you consider it a talent or a gift, and when did you realize you had whatever it is you call this special gift that you have?
I think it's a combination. It's like playing a piano. I mean, do you know how to play piano, Stephen?
I've tried. I can't get both hands moving at the same time.
But if I'll teach you for a long time, you're probably going to be very good at it. But probably you won't be Mozart or Beethoven. So I can teach some of the elements, how to influence people, body language reading, nonverbal communication, influencing, etc., how to read people. I can teach you the basics, but it doesn't mean you'll be able to actually go live and do those demonstrations for everyone.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I use the same example with tennis. I say for the most part, almost anybody can play tennis, but a couple tricks you might get better, but you may not ever be at the top of your game. And for you then, when did you notice, Lior, early on? Was there a certain age or something? What happened that you said, wow, there's something here that I have?
Well, I was always fascinated by how people think. And when I was 10 years old, I actually brought this here. I used to take a watch, it doesn't matter which one, and set to a time and ask someone to name that time, and try to influence them. I was thinking very, very hard. And then I noticed when people are thinking or concentrating, it's if you know how they think, again, and listen to the term, I don't know what you're thinking, I know how you're thinking. And I managed to be, at the beginning when someone said 8, I was setting the watch to 8:30. And then it went like I was setting the watch to 9 and 15 minutes, and the person said 9 and 11. It was trying to be more closer and closer. Yeah, until I got to a situation where I can actually, let's try it with you. What's the time right now? Where are you right now?
I'm in LA. It's 11:46 a.m. Pacific time.
11:46. Okay, so 11:46. So the idea is, and I hope this will work. This is how 11:46 looks like exactly.
Yes.
Right. So I'm looking at you right now. Again, when I'm looking down, it's not that I'm not looking at you. I'm just looking at the monitor, of course. If I ask you right now, I'm going to set this up. I'll try to put something in your mind subconsciously without you even know it. So I'll try to do it. And let's go here. That's it. I'm not touching the watch anymore. And that's it. Name any time, the hour and the exact minute. Name whatever you want.
3:33.
Okay, so this is a random time. I want to show you very slowly the time that I was setting the watch to. Look.
This, Lior, is why I said I'm excited and scared at the same time.
3:33 exactly.
It's amazing. And again, I've done a lot of studying before, so I know the first time you and I met, I actually was blocking what you were thinking, and you looked at me and you said, "Don't do that." And I'm like, but and at the end, it was fascinating because the name I had in my mind, you still got the first letter, even though I was still blocking it. So just fascinating. But it's really cool, Lior, because what you're saying is, and I believe it too, I think we all sort of innately might have some of this, but you've got a cool tool to get better at it.
Yeah, I think that everybody can do it in a certain way if they really believe in themselves and they start to try to write. There's, to be a mentalist, there's lots of aspects. It's not just you study and you become a mentalist. You need to be a showman first, and you need to understand how the mind works, and you need to learn psychology, and you need to learn body language reading, and you need to hypnotize people, and you need to understand all those complex things together to get to those situations.
And as you were growing up, then did this become more of a passion or a fascination or something you were drawn to? How did you sort of end up doing what you're doing now?
So it started with a watch, and I was very good at this. I was fascinated by how you can, how the mind works. I love to take things apart and build them together. And I always loved to perform. That was the key factor. So at school, even in like middle school, I used to show things to people. So, when I took a deck of cards, it was never a card trick. It was always oriented to the mind. So instead of pick a card, any card, and let me guess your card, it used to be pick a card, let me look 10 seconds into the pack and see what's missing. So it was more like a memory test.
Yeah.
Or statistic or mathematic or things related to the brain. And I started to perform it, to friends and family, and then to, in every holiday, Lior is here, is doing something, let's see what you got. And whatever you said, it's all of the above, passion and excitement and enthusiasm and performance and all of that. And it was really part of me until now. And I love to do it. I love the reaction of the people. I love that the moment that people has their jars dropped when they experience something that they cannot explain, something unbelievable. And it's fun because, especially these days, specifically these days when everyone is so stressed, everyone is so stressed from everything that's happening, the politics and governments and the world and the coronavirus and everything is so stressed. So everybody like very short fuse,
Yep.
And all of a sudden they become children again in a second. Everybody like, in my show, if it's 1,000 people or 2,000 people, everybody becomes children again. And for an hour or more, they just relax and enjoy the wonder.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because I want to talk about the TV show, and then I want to move into the corporate side, because the corporate one I think is fascinating for big companies, and there's probably a different outcome there. The TV show, great show. My friend Jason Silva kind of started Brain Games, and then it moved on. And you've been a mentalist on Brain Games, the TV show. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, Brain Games. I was always a fan of Brain Games, so you can tell your friend that I was always a fan. It was a very educating show. It's a fun, light show, and when I got called to brainstorm with the Brain Games team to create ideas as a co-host, what they did, they reset the concept, the Brain Games, into a new studio with live audience. And when you say live audience, it's me. So I was assisting co-hosting with Keegan Michael Key at the show for the 8 episodes. We met the celebrities, and what I did there, I explained, because it's a science show, it's a light science show that explains the phenomena or how we think, Brain Games. And I took it to my angle and showed them the unbelievable power of the mind with crazy experiments I've done on the celebrity guests with crazy, I cannot even explain. You have to watch it to see what I've done there to Rebel Wilson and to Jack Black. Tiffany Haddish and more and more and more and more. It was really amazing.
Yeah,
so
every Zach episode, or Dak and his wife, and
yeah, exactly. And every episode, there was a theme: battle of the sexes, or kids versus adults, or the power of the mind in different perspective, or how do we get fooled in the movie magic. So I took this concept and put it in my world and created a big, colorful act that was based on that. And it was really challenging because I had to create new concepts all the time.
And did you have a favorite one? Because I The one with Jack Black to me is hilarious. The look on his face. The
That's
one where you have
unbelievable.
the men and women or the boys and girls on each side and they're turning the cards. Like there's so many of them to me. And again, because I knew you with fascination. Do you have a favorite one you can talk about?
Well, I have to tell you that all of them are very difficult to do. I think that the Jack Black one was one of the hardest ones and one of the craziest ones. And also the one with Drew Brees, because it was a nice,
Drew's was great too.
Interesting story behind, because I created an idea when we have like 9 targets, and it's numbered from 1 to 9, and he has to take the ball and to throw it into 5 or 6 times to different targets. And it was set up. I mean, not set up. I didn't know what's going to happen, of course, but it was set up. The drill set up, and at the last moment, someone from production or agencies, they said we can't do it because I don't want to jeopardize Drew Brees' hand. Because it's it's a very, very important hand. What happens if he gets hurt? What happens if something happens? Whatever. So I had to, me had to stand in front of agents and managers and explain to them, listen, this is just like throwing, a ball to your niece.
Yeah.
Like it's a kid's game. You choose some numbers. So I had to, and then I had to show them some mind tricks of my own to just get them, persuade them. And we did. It was a very cool trick, mind trick. So he was going into different numbers. And what I did, if you watch the episode, I wrote.
You wrote the number on the paper, looked at him, and then told him to throw it. And it was 1 to 9.
Yeah.
And he would throw it, and then you would hold the number up, and he threw every time at the number you wrote.
And then at the end, it turns out that the numbers actually was Keegan's
birthday. So not only did you influence him on the number, but in the order for him to throw the numbers, which I mean, just brilliant. Talk about the Jack Black one real quick. Explain that one. And then I have another question for you on the show, and then we can move on.
The Jack Black was crazy. So we had containers, I think more than 100 different containers with water, and everybody knows when you have those glasses and you how do you hit them with a little
to
rod
make noise.
To make noise, and everybody knows that the different level of water create different kind of noise. So we had like hundreds of vessels with water, different kinds of glasses and vases, and we've got a few people from the audience. I don't remember if it's like 10 or 9 people. Each one of them took one of the glasses, and the chances are like 1 in 2 billions. Took one, and they chose the order of it. And then I told Jack to think of any song, and he thought of the song American Pie. And then I asked him, what is the chance that this is the order of the sound of the glasses, which is no way, of course. And when we hit them, we had
it played American Pie from random glasses and random audience and random order. That's why I said that the mental side of what you do is fascinating. So I want you to help me on one, Lior.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors. I've never seen you lose. I saw you tie once.
I lost once.
You did lose? I didn't remember if you lost or tied.
You need to watch the show. You need to watch the show.
I knew there was one, but I was giving you the benefit that you tied. I didn't realize you lost.
I had one lose.
Okay. I have to do rock, paper, scissors for my soccer games to see who's going to stay on and play.
Okay.
How do I influence the other 2 people to throw something so I win?
Well, it's interesting. It's hard to do it, but when I was there in the show, when I see people and I look at them, I can understand what they are going to do more or less. So I have a very good intuition about it, and then I do it.
Interesting. Yeah, just you look at them and it's boom, 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 and you win every time. It's really cool. So Brain Games is a great show. I encourage everybody to watch it. Let's switch gears, because I know as a business side for you, Lior, it's really corporate driven, doing corporate events and things like that. What do you do differently with corporate, and what's a benefit for a corporation to bring you in for their audience, their customer, their teams?
So most of the majority of my day-to-day shows are for corporate events, conventions, trade shows, sales kickoff, things like that. And the key factor here is that I created the entertainment with information, which gives us infotainment. And what I discovered, it's something very, very basic, but if you understand it, it's very, very powerful. Because, for example, if I ask you, Stefan, what were you wearing 3 weeks ago on Monday? Do you remember?
I don't think backwards. No idea.
No, because it's not important. But if I ask you, what did you do when you heard about the disaster of September 11, 2001? You remember what happened, right? You remember
Yes.
where were you? You remember what happened? You remember everything. Why? Because it was a very meaningful situation, a bad one, but we also remember the positive, meaningful situations. So when you experience something, and this something is, imagine you said 3:33, right? And I show you the watch that I predicted 3:33. Imagine I would tell you right now, why did you say 3:33? You know that in the new company, we just got $333,000 of the blah, 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 blah. And then I show you a proof that this is a message of the company. So what I started to do, I think it was 10 years ago, I started to combine messages of corporates, values, messages, key messages for them to convey to their customers or to their inside workers. And I create those messages through the special acts. So when I do a show for a car, I won't say the brand name, but I did an act where I gave the entire audience a little postcard with the engine of the car. Okay. And then I told them to hold the engine close to their ear and they will actually hear the engine. And then, 1,500 people are doing it and they're like, what do they hear? What do you think?
The engine.
No, it's a postcard.
Air, nothing.
Nothing. And then I said, exactly, it's the new electric car. You will not hear any sound at all. And so people are like, and it's all connected and it's really amazing. And by doing this, people remember the brand better and they remember the messages better. And and this leads to better sales and better connection with the company.
So it sounds, Lior, like what you probably do is for the companies. And again, I want to, because I always try and send your stuff out. I want to get you more places in cool. You're integrating the company's messaging or the company's purpose with the showmanship of what you're able to do as a mentalist. So is there audience engagement and things like that at times as well?
Oh, all the time. It's full interactive. When you have the CEO or someone high level from a company gives a speech, it's interesting, but it won't go through as much as you wanted. When someone like me, who understand the business of the company and also create the special acts around that, then it conveys, and then you remember the messages of the company, and you will not believe how amazing this is for the clients, for the companies.
And are there certain industries or are there certain types of companies that what you do is more acceptable or interesting than others? Are there certain industries where it's like, this works great?
I've done anything from everything. I've done from Fortune 500 companies to retailers and to computers, softwares, startup companies, anything you can think of. Just in the past year, everything was virtual. Everything. I actually created a studio in my home. This is not the studio, but I created a big studio in my home with cameras and lights and a stage manager and all of that to create the experience. It's virtual, but I've done more than 500 corporate events for the last year, conveying messages and doing sales kickoff of companies, doing conventions, trade shows, stuff like that.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute, because with COVID, you're not able to travel. So where are you now?
I'm in Israel, in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, you've been there for the year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So,
I miss flying. I miss flying a lot, quite a lot.
That's what I was going to say, Lior, is as the world opens back up, how much of your business going forward do you think will remain virtual in the studio versus in person, and how much do you miss the in person?
I miss the in person a lot. There's much more connection with the audience. A lot here. I'll give you an example. Here in Israel, they're starting to open up the market, so they allow for people who got vaccines to go into culture shows. And I think we've got almost 70% of the populations got the vaccines, so we are vaccinated.
Yeah.
So it's very good for all of us. And I opened a small show in a theater. It's a 300-seat theater, and I was sold out in 1 hour. So like 1 hour, boom, people just got it because they want to see, and it's the day after tomorrow. And I'm very excited to see people again, sitting and enjoying. The virtual world was very, very interesting because I had to create ideas and concepts that will convey through the screen to people and still keep them on the edge of their seats and talk to them and interact with them. So I actually had to build up interactive sessions and amazing, and it worked. It really worked. If you ask me, it's weird to do a show for Google, all right, and for 5,000 people all connected in a studio, and go like, all right, thank you very much, it's been a pleasure, good night everyone, and then press a button
And you're in.
and that's it. I'm wearing like a suit and boxers because they can't see above this. So it was very weird. And for your question, I think we will have a time of some kind of like a hybrid. Some of the corporates love the concept of doing everything virtually, but in the sales world, I don't think that if it's not a software, if it's like a hard copy, if it's like a machine or a device, you need to meet the people, you need to show them, you need to for them to understand. So we will have a period of hybrid. People will be also connected, people also will be live a little bit, and then we'll have two kinds of events.
Yeah, and I would think, which, by the way, your suits are always amazing. So whether you got boxer shorts on or not, I don't know, but
exactly.
But your wardrobe on TV on the show was stellar. So congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I would think that with what you do, the in-person connection side has to be, so much better, so much. I won't call it easier because I don't think what you do is easy, but that connection of being in an audience is there. And I think, to your point, the salespeople, those events have to come back online. Operational stuff, I think, will stay offline. But do you think sales organizations are more receptive to what you're doing? Salespeople tend to be much more kind of open and enthusiastic about things.
It took a little bit of time because when we started to hear about COVID, it was March 2020, and first of all, there was major cancellations of everything. Everything was canceled.
Yeah.
Even I was supposed to bring games a second season, and all of that was canceled. So it was a little bit of a depression. And then I started to create those virtual experiences, and it became better and better and better. People got the idea. People understood that they can actually. I just seen before this interview, I finished a show for 1,500 people, all connected virtually. It was a startup company. They understood that you can still have fun. It's a little different, but people are creative. Let me show you something. I think I've got it here. 1 second. Yeah, I got it here. This is a company. So see, they send to their clients like a little, goodie bag,
gift box or something.
Yeah, with how to do cocktails and like trophies and prizes inside. I told them open it in the show, and then I told them let's open it together. Let's have a drink. So you see all the little boxes on the Zoom call. They're opening. So again, it's not the same, of course, but it's more light because you can have the CEO speaks, and then the client stands here with his wife and children because there's a show coming up. So it's kind of like. It's not not official, and it's a good thing about it.
That's what I think is important too, Lior. That's always impressed me with what you do. It's the difference between the mentalist side and the performer side, because as the performer, you have to think about what the act or the integrations are going to be. It's not the same thing every time. It's what works in this situation. The creativity of coming up with different ideas. I think is difficult. So when you work with the company, how do you get the inspiration for what the company's trying to accomplish?
So I always talk with them before, and I do a little research about the company. You know, the first research, online research. Then I talk with their marketing team or the CEO, and I tell them about what are the messages, what are the bullet points, what are the factors, what are the things you want to tell the audience, and they tell me. And if they sometimes they say no, we don't have this. Let's just have fun. I always try to leave them with something that's connected to them. So all of a sudden, I mean, I have a note here from the last show. So imagine, you know, I'm all right. So this is a company. I just did a company. It's a company that does browser extensions. So I told them, who wants to know how I did it? And they all raise their hand and say, it's very simple. It's a browser extension that gets access to prospect contact data. And if you get a funding of $40 million, you can actually do it. And they just did a funding of $40 million. So you see everybody like, how the hell does he know that? You know, and it's fun for them. And I just talked about the world, and it's really, really fun.
Yeah, very cool. The Marilyn Monroe behind you, is there any significance to that? I love that when you.
It's an art piece. If you go closer, you will see that it's made of like little dots of oil, but only when you go far you recognize it's Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. All right. I didn't know if there was any significance. So, all right. So I have a question for you.
It's meant to influence you.
It was, because I thought you were going to say there's nothing really there. I want you to think it's a Marilyn, and you were going to show me a white piece of paper.
That's not a virtual background. That's a real art.
So you said something earlier, Lior. Let's go back to the watch.
Yes.
You said you predicted what time I was going to say. And because I've
not really predicted, it's more like influenced you.
That's what I was going to ask you, because what I did was I went with the first time that popped in my head. And then the whole time I'm thinking, okay, did he put that in my head?
Yeah.
Because it was an influence, not a prediction. There's a difference that you can actually try and influence what the outcome is going to be.
Let me ask you this. Do you have some kind of a book nearby next to you?
I have a notepad, and I might have a magazine.
Book or magazine. Magazine is good. Do you have a magazine?
Let's see what I have. Hold on.
Any magazine.
I've got a magazine.
You got a magazine?
I have a magazine.
All right. How many pages?
It has 88.
88. So what I'm going to do is this. It's going to be a little weird. I'm going to write here. I'll write something for you here.
Okay.
But because I want it to be fair. Okay. Now, wait. Sorry for the handwriting, but I'm sure you'll understand the concept. Okay. So let me see. Let me see if I can do this. So I want you to open the magazine. You know, the thing about Zoom, that no matter how hard I try, even if I do this, I can't see. I cannot see, even if it looks like I cannot see. It's below the chest level. But I want you to open the magazine anywhere you want and point to a word. But go for a simple word. Let's start with something simple. Go for a simple word. You got it?
Anywhere I want with a simple. Can it be a name?
Can be a name, can be anything you want. All right, now just to make sure it's fair, I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna do this. So it's kind of like it's a little weird shot, but I want you to see this full view that I'm not touching the board. Yeah. Okay. Which word did you point to?
It's David Lynch.
Ah, so we actually went with a specific name.
Well, I pointed to David, but it's the name was David Lynch. Yeah.
Okay, but the chance of someone knowing that is very, very slim. Correct? You agree?
Someone, yes. You, not so slim.
No, I'll show you what I wrote. I'll show you what I wrote.
I'm done. That's it. This, my friend, is why I said I am afraid to talk to you. That's amazing. Yeah, cool, because the magazine was GQ. It could have been any page, any word, anything. Yeah. Great stuff, Lior. So listen, I appreciate your time. I love what you do. I will always
thank you so much.
Send people to you, support you, help you any way I can. Please stay safe with
Appreciate
you
it.
and the family. And if you make it back over to LA and can do brain games, let me know. I want to sit in the audience. I want to rock, paper, scissors you when you're here.
No problem. Thank you very much, and be well to everyone.
All right, thanks. That's Stephen Meade, the Bullseye Guy. Thanks for tuning in.